All right, so before anything, I want to give a small disclaimer that I am not here at all to give any legal advice. I am by no means qualified to do that, and I am not here to try. And so if you're in the creator space, you may be aware of how much the government is starting to lock down on drones now that they're becoming so mainstream. I mean, even DJI as a company, their future drones may be completely banned from the United States as a whole. And so I thought I'd bring up this story as a warning. So this isn't gonna have flashy edits and B-roll and everything as such, just a warning to you guys out there, and telling my story and experience as well. So this takes place in Tampa, Florida, years ago, 2021. I was actually a student at the University of Tennessee at the time, but I was down on a freelancing job, and so I had some extra time. It was the weekend where the Tampa Bay Bucks were hosting the Super Bowl, so there was a whole lot going on, and I was down by this river, and I mean, it just looked beautiful. There were people out, you know, the sun was out, the boats were all on the water. It just looked like a great time and a beautiful opportunity to use my new drone that I had got. And so at the time, I had the DJI Mavic Mini. It was the first generation of it that came out, and I remember I just thought I was completely invincible, right? Because it was under 250 grams, so you didn't have to register it to fly around recreationally, everything as such. So, you know, my ignorant self, I was very ignorant at the time, you know, I thought that I could just basically just fly this anytime, just scot-free, right? And like I mentioned, this is when Tampa was in the Super Bowl, but we were nowhere close to their stadium, right? And so I'm getting videos of the boats and the water and the sunshine and all that kind of stuff. And somebody comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, can I talk to you for a minute over here?" And, you know, I thought it was a little weird for a second, but then he flashed his badge at me and he's like, "Hey, blah, 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 FBI, right?" And I'm like, man, FBI. And so he asked me, what am I doing? You know, why am I flying my drone around? Everything is such. And I'm just letting him know, like, yeah, you know, I just thought the boats in the water looked pretty. And then he lets me know, like, yeah, Tampa is under a strict no-fly zone right now. And so he starts like taking my drone apart. You know, he's taking pictures of everything on the inside. He's taking out the battery and inspecting it. He's like swabbing it with stuff, just asking me all these questions in the meantime. And so, you know, I'm just letting him have at it, whatever he wants to do, right? Because it's the FBI. And, you know, in my mind, I'm like, yo, I'm not doing anything, you know, I'm not supposed to. So, you know, I didn't mind him looking through everything. And he looked through my footage, and then once he took a look through my footage, you know, he saw nothing but rainbows, bunnies, and sunshine, right? So, you know, he realized, look, I understand you're not doing anything, you know, malicious. You're not purposely flying it over, you know, restricted areas that you're aware of. At least he understood, you know, my intent. So he was like, I have to report this because the entire city is under lockdown right now, and I'm not going to file anything against you, but we're going to send it to the FAA, and what they do is beyond my control, right? And so he let me have my drone back. He gave me everything back. He gave me, like, you know, the ticket number and everything as such. And so then I, you know, of course, stopped flying my drone and kind of just like went on my way. So I go home, nothing happens. A month later, 2 months later, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, a year later, you know, all the way up until 2 years later. 2 years later, I opened up the mail and it's from the FAA. I had no idea what it was at the time. I'm not even thinking about that drone incident because, I mean, this was years ago at this point. And I open it up and it's just letting me know I've just had like this whole list of violations and everything, right? And they let me know that this is going to come to a penalty of $6,000, like $5,800, something like that. But that's $6,000, right? And I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, yo, first off, this is freaking serious. Second, I'm like, there's no way I have this kind of money. I just graduated college. You know, I had just actually moved from Tennessee to Florida. And I mean, to top it all off, at this time, I am an unestablished full-time freelancer straight out of college with barely any experience, right? So it's like, yo, I've got enough money to pay rent, spend $5 a week getting chicken legs from Sam's Club that I can grill up and last throughout the week. And that's just about all the money I got, right? So no way I can pay this. After panicking, I decided to reach out to try and appeal it, right? And so I put in the request for appeal, or I called, something like that. I really can't remember which one it was. And then they had the option to appeal for multiple reasons, but the one that applied to me was just simply like not having the funds, right? But you know, you can't just say like, oh yeah, I just don't got the money and then appeal, right? I told you guys my situation. And so basically, you know, once I finally got on the phone with an actual human being and not just like, you know, some kind of answer machine, there's a person with a heart on the other side, right? And so, you know, I told him my situation, I told him my financial situation, everything is such. And so they let me know that I can appeal it, but there was a whole list of stuff I had to send in. I mean, I literally got to look down at my freaking notes here. I had to send them my bank statements, my drone specs, my student record, my tax statements, my expenses for the past 2 years, so they could literally see like, hey, yeah, you know, I'm not just blowing smoke here. Like, I have absolutely no money. And so once they took it to the board of really important people and they talked it over and they came back with a settlement, I had to take classes. I had to take hours and hours and hours and hours and hours worth of classes. I don't even remember how much it was. And after that, I might as well have just taken my Part 107 because like I knew everything there was to know about, you know, drones and airspaces and all the laws and regulations at this point. But yes, I had to do a ton of classes, and I also had to still pay a smaller fine. And I don't know if there would be any ramifications if I said that exact number. So I will say I still did have to pay something, but it was a much more reasonable amount. But you, like I said, you can't just say you don't have the money. They literally went through all my bank statements and expenses and everything. So like if I hadn't been a broke freelancer at the time and I would have just had a regular day job, I probably would have had to still, you know, pay a good amount or at least pin on some payment plan or something like that. So, you know, glory to God that he worked things out, man. Christ is amazing. But yeah, that was my experience. And I know there are probably some drone pilots out here who were just like ripping their hair out like, you idiot, man, how could you have done this kind of stuff? But like I learned my lesson, and you know, I am much more aware now, and I was being stupid and I thought I was invincible. So, you know, I want to say that was very, very ignorant of me. It truly, truly was. But I just want to give this warning out to anybody else that this was in 2021 that I did this and face these repercussions. And drones are way more mainstream now. There are much more laws about it. You know, there's much more eyes and much more information about them out now. So just be aware of where you're flying your drone. Be aware of the airspaces, if they're restricted or not. There are apps like Before You Fly and more that I'll probably just put up on the screen or description. If you need to, you know, take a look before you fly your drone, make sure it's registered. Make sure you're not out there using a drone for commercial use. If you don't have your Part 107 and you don't have your papers for it, like guys, have your paperwork. Don't fly in areas you're not supposed to, because I learned very much that drones aren't something that you want to play around about. You want to have your paperwork and everything in line. So yeah, I hope that warning resonates with somebody. I hope I can stop somebody from being as dumb and ignorant as I was. So I mean, while you guys are here, once again, I am a page that likes to help out creators and creator tech and everything as such, so feel free to check out the page. I know most people are probably here for the FBI drone story, but feel free to check it out, man. Got some dope stuff. Appreciate you for watching this video. So like, subscribe, all that. Appreciate you. Holla at you.